Hi, I'm Euge Valovirta, and this one is about how to use a flanger. Or not necessarily how to use, there's no wrong or right way to use, just maybe to give you an ideas how you can use flanger. So, and kind of how I use flanger. I don't use flanger much, pretty much I only use it when I've done some Van Halen tribute shows. And occasionally on my live board when I had a bigger board, but I hardly used that. The signal chain, this is my heavily Frankenstein EVH Frankie with a warm-off neck, even though it says ESP Jumbo Frets 12 16 inch radius, compound radius. Duncan 78 bridge pickup. Duncan classic stack, I think, like noiseless single coil, three-way pickup switch and a single volume. Then into the pedal board where I have pedals. And the flanger I'll be using today is an old Boss BF3 flanger. I have BF2 too. This is a little bit more versatile, but the same rules, apply. And then the signal goes to KG Audio Electronics amp switcher, then into 5152, and I have a GS808 in front of that. We're also going to check out the flanger into completely clean amp, and that is ADA MP1 into Marshall JCM 80203 Zach Wild Signature amps power amp, so effect loop return. Back to KHG via Fryette power station, where I'm attenuating the signal a bit, into my Marshall vintage cabinet, where I'm miking one of the vintage speakers with two SM57s in the Fredman style. The signal is summed there with radials 2-to-1 summing box. I get one signal here. That goes to my Universal Audio's Apollo X8 audio interface, and I'm using one of the Unison mic pre's there, where I have API mic pre, and then into Logic, and that's it. So first, before playing anything, let's go through the basic controls on this one, but these similar controls are, I think, on every flanger. So this BF3, this has a guitar in and a bass in. The bass in basically just makes the center frequency lower to a lower register. But you can obviously use it with guitar too if you want to have really low frequency register flanging. That works pretty well with downtuned guitars. Then there's two output A mono, output B stereo, a little bit like a stereo chorus. If you run this to a two amplifiers, then the other is flanked and delayed, and the other, so you get an insanely wide sound, and so on. Then the first control, it's resonance and manual. The resonance being the smaller one. So with that you can determine the center frequency which the flanging effect resonates around. And if you have plugged your guitar or bass into a bass input, the whole thing kind of goes lower, so you can get to a lower regions, lower frequencies. So that you I will show you what it does. You get a little, really can get a spiky flanger if you set it to higher frequencies, and a fuller, warmer flanging effect if you set it to lower. Then the manual, which is pretty interesting label. That's basically level. That's the effect level, but they have just labeled it manual. It doesn't make that much sense to me, but anyway, it's level. Depth, pretty self-explanatory. How deep is the flanging effect is. Rate is how fast or slow the flanging effect is. And on this one, there's 4 different flanging types. Ultra, which is really heavy flanging. Like you can get those jet airplane, insane effects. Standard, which is standard. That's what if I use this, I use. Gate panning. If you use this in mono, it creates almost like a slicer effect. But if you use this in stereo, then it pans well, it says gate slash panning, so in mono it's basically a gate, slicer gate. And in stereo it pans the signal from side to side, the flanging effect, so you can get really, you know, seasick style stuff. And then there's a momentary, which is like handy, let's say on Van Halen's Unchained, if you play that. So when you step on the pedal, it's on. When you take your foot off, it's off. So that is kind of that, you know. But let's stick on the standard mode. And now the pedal is in front. Then basically everything is 11. That's kind of where is my kind of go-to starting point. Everything in 11, and it works pretty much always for a basing flanging effect. So flanger to me is kind of like the operating procedure. It's kind of like chorus, but flanger is just more extreme and more metallic sounding in a way. So let me play first without it, and then I'll kick it in. Everything is set to 11 o'clock. And so on. So you get a flanging effect, you know. Van Halen used this, you know, stuff like or maybe he used phaser, but to me it sounds pretty cool. Similar setting what Van Halen, oh, I don't know his settings, but similar sound what he used on Don't Tell Me What Love Can Do from Van Halen's Balance. Without the flanger it sounds. Actually this setting I would probably increase the depth. So now it's 11, let's put the depth into 1. And let's lower the resonance from 11 to 9 o'clock, so the flanging happens on the lower register. Let's see how that sounds. Yeah, works a bit better in my opinion for this riff. Let's put everything back to 11. I'm gonna show you the other modes. So we were on standard, now it's the ultra. Like here, it's insane. And then the gate slash pan. Now it's gate since we are in mono. So you can use this creatively, and you can slower the gating by just turning down the rate. Now the rate is at 9 o'clock. Or make it really fast by putting it to, let's say, 2 o'clock. Now it's so fast that it's not even audible. Noon. So with flanger you can, I've used this in studio sometimes just to create some wacko stuff. It's great. And the cool thing is with guitar pedals, there's no wrong or right way to use it. No matter what you do, you can't break anything. So I'll just encourage to experiment. Let me show you what happens when I tweak the resonance point. So you'll hear how the flanging effect goes from lower frequencies to higher. So that's what the resonance does. And then the manual, which is a level. Now it's 0, then I start to increase, and then we end up to the maximum. Back to minimum. With minimum there is still a effect, so this is, well, I guess the manual now makes sense, because it's not completely like let's say a level on a chorus or delay. So when you turn the level on those pedals to minimum, there's nothing going through. But here is when it's minimum, the signal isn't as, the flanging effect isn't as strong, it's there, and the more you increase it, the stronger the flanging effect is. So yeah, it's okay, I got it. But this is basically how flanger sounds in front. And where to place this, that's totally up to you. I just tried where it works the best. I've always liked flanger after overdrives. So phaser, I like before overdrive. Flanger and chorus, I like afterwards. Just sounds better to me that way. And how did I figure that out? Let's try it here. Okay, let's try it here. Okay, I like it more here. That's where it stays. Okay, then let me put the, oh yeah, clean. Let me show you how it sounds on the clean channel. So ADA, now no flanger now, neck pickup. How to play this stuff, because my finger is still cracked. Okay, so it's, check out what happens when I engage the flanger and play that I'll wait riff. Okay, flanger in. It makes it sound almost like a keyboard. Let's put the depth a little bit deeper and increase the manual. Now let's play the verse riff, keyboard riff on I'll Wait. Is it a chorus riff? Well, that was no flanger, then flanger. So, you know, almost kind of can get it to sound keyboardish like when you do this. And when you turn down the manual, slower the rate and depth to around 9 o'clock, it's almost like a chord. But still metallic. Let's lower the resonance point to 9 o'clock. So on kind of like minimum setting, a flanger sounds like a chorus on more extreme settings. So, because you can get a flanging type of sound with chorus when you crank it, and you can get a chorus type of sound with flanger when you minimize it. Okay, now let me put it to the effect loop of the 5150, and let's check out how it sounds in the loop. Alright, now the flanger is in the 5150's effect loop. With effect loops, you gotta remember that different amps have different effect loops. Some have like the level control in there, some have like two like series effect loops and parallel effect loops. Parallel means that the dry signal is always there, that then it's in a parallel and you blend that in. The 5150's effect loop is really basic. There's no controls nor anything. It's just a series effect loop, and pedals behave differently. Like if you saw my how to use chorus video, the chorus ensemble was quite subtle in the loop, so I needed to basically crank the level to get like, you know, like distinctive chorus effect happening. But check out this flanger, what happens with this one. So now there's nothing. And when I engage it, check this out. So because the flanger doesn't have the like I explained earlier, the manual control isn't like a level control. The level is basically there. You just control the amount of how prominent or audible the flanging effect is. So with this flanger, this doesn't work in the loop at all to me. It's just very like in a tunnel, and it's louder and like. But you know, it's Ed's signature amp, and Ed always used flanger in front, so that was something he really didn't care. And 'cause I don't usually use anything in the loops, especially here in the studio. So this is actually the first time that I'm trying out the flanger in the loop, and it doesn't work. So my suggestion is, and my way, I always put flanger in front. Then the level is pretty much the same, and to me it just sounds better in front of an amp. But obviously, you know, it's always worth trying with your amplifier and your flanger pedal what kind of sound you can get. So with 5150, clearly heard that at least to me, in my opinion, my personal opinion, it didn't sound good at all. It was too loud and kind of strange sounding. So I've always preferred with any amp, with any kind of flanger. Well, I've basically used this and a BF2 my whole life, because they do the job in front. But obviously, with your flanger, your amp, just try, and then you use whatever you like the most. Maybe this sound could just be the sound what you want. I don't want that. Hey, hopefully you found this interesting and informative. Until next time, take care. Bye.